We've certainly heard of a lot of accidents and seen them on our roadways, but one thing you may not be thinking about is when you take that ride share. What if there's an accident? Who's at fault? How does it get resolved? Surprisingly complex. We're bringing in Michael Ponce from award-winning Ponce Law. Welcome back. Great to have you here.
Great to be back again and talk with you.
Yeah, this rideshare situation is a little more complex than maybe any of us ever consider. We never want to think about being in an accident. Rideshares are up in Middle Tennessee. Are accidents in rideshares up as well?
Absolutely. It's just a natural product of the number of rides that people are doing. Nashville is an area where we have a lot of tourism here, and we're blessed to have the tourism here, but people use apps more when they're on vacation. Makes sense to do, and rather than, going to
Rent
the clubs.
a car.
And yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. And worldwide, it's just proliferated to an incredible degree. Having 1 billion rideshare rides last year worldwide, which is just a mind-boggling number.
It really is. And to think of being in an accident is pretty terrifying. If you need medical care or something along those lines, how do you get paid? How does that reimbursement work?
It's a surprisingly complex area. You would think it would just be like any other accident. And of course, some aspects are the same. You're still looking at who's at fault, but the amount of coverage, the type of coverage, and if there's coverage at all, will depend upon not only who's at fault, but the status of the driver.
So when you say status, what does that mean?
Well, the rideshare drivers, whether it be Uber or Lyft or any of the companies, they're going to be either considered to be off-app, on-app waiting, or actually using the app when they're providing transportation to a passenger or delivering a good.
And you mentioned that amount of coverage. They're independent contractors or employees with Uber or Lyft?
They are considered independent contractors. I have my own issues with that consideration, but the courts thus far have considered them to be independent contractors. Therefore, these rideshare companies aren't directly responsible for the actions of the drivers as if they were employees. If you have an employee, normally a business is responsible for the actions that their employees engage in, but for Uber and for Lyft and these other rideshare companies, they're not.
They can really protect them, right?
Right.
So
it limits their exposure.
And that becomes problematic in some of these catastrophic, and you say you guys have covered this. You have gone to the courts, you've dealt with this, where the monetary number gets up into the millions.
Absolutely. We've covered these types of accidents for many, many years, particularly with Uber and Lyft. And under normal circumstances, if the Lyft driver or Uber driver is at fault, there may be sufficient coverage. Because the policy limits normally, if they're at fault and you're a passenger, are $1 million, which for most cases is sufficient. But when you have catastrophic injuries, we have many cases where a person may incur more than $1 million just in medical expenses. And so you can quickly exhaust those limits and not provide enough coverage for the passengers.
That's when you got to definitely get Ponce Law on the phone. And even earlier, too. Quick advice before you leave. Quick advice for anyone doing these ride shares. What's kind of a takeaway that you want people to know?
Well, a couple of things I would suggest for anyone before you get in a car. Make sure that it really is your ride. Double check the license plate. Double check the type of vehicle it's supposed to be. Make sure that the photo matches your driver. When you're in the vehicle, make sure you wear a seatbelt just as if you were driving the car yourself. And also, you want to document what happened, and because these cases are complex, we highly recommend that if you're in an accident, whether you're a passenger or hit by a rideshare driver, make sure to get representation as quickly as possible, because there is a time limit. Evidence gets erased. It's harder to pursue these claims when you wait.
Yeah, don't wait. And of course, it's easy to get a hold of Ponce Law. He's got a whole team. Michael Ponce, founder and CEO of Ponce Law. Always great having you here. Great things to think about. You can get Ponce Law. Call a team at 615-244-4321. You can visit them at PonceLaw.com. Great having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.